Will Smith reveals why he wanted to kill his dad. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. Today we will be talking to you about why Will Smith wanted to kill his father. Willard Carroll Smith Jr. was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Caroline Bright, a Philadelphia school board administrator, and Willard Carroll Smith Sr., a U.S. Air Force veteran and refrigeration engineer. His mother is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University. Will Smith has worked tirelessly for decades to establish himself as the world's biggest movie star. Forbes named Smith the most bankable celebrity on the planet. As of 2014, 17 of the 21 films in which he has played a leading role have grossed more than $100 million worldwide, with 5 films grossing more than $500 million worldwide. His films have grossed $6.6 billion at the global box office as of 2014. For Ali and the Pursuit of Happyness, he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. When Will was 13, Caroline left the family after suffering at the hands of Will's father for years. In his new memoir, Will confessed that he had laid bare several moments from his life that have left a mark on him, talks about his complex relationship with his father. In his upcoming memoir, Will Smith pulls back the curtain to reveal who he is, sharing intimate details about his relationship with his late father and wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Will says in his memoir that he considered suicide after his mother, who had been subjected to physical abuse by his father, left the house. Smith writes that his mother's absence left him feeling alone and resentful. "She'd had enough," the actor wrote of his mother's departure. "She didn't show up for work the next morning when the sun rose. She didn't go far. Only a few blocks to her grandmother's house, but the message was clear. She was finished." Smith even admits to attempting suicide, saying, "I considered pills I knew where a boy had lost his legs on the train tracks. I've seen people cut their wrists while watching TV in a tub." Smith talks about how he once considered killing his father to avenge his mother's mistreatment when he was a child. Will explains, "I used to be afraid of my father. When I was 9 years old, my father delivered a powerful punch to the side of my mother's head, causing her to collapse. I saw her spit blood," the eyewitness claims. "That moment in that bedroom probably describes who I am today better than any other." He also writes how his life has been defined by witnessing his father mistreat his mother. "I've been apologizing to my mother in a series of subtle ways for my inaction that day. She's failing her at the moment because I didn't fight back against my father. I'm a coward. That's why." As a result of the mistreat, Smith said it led him daydreaming about killing his dad. "As a child, I'd always told myself that I would one day requite my mother." While Will had a close bonding with his father, he reveals that all the anger he felt over the violence he saw his father carry out against his mother came back to the surface while he was caring for his cancer-stricken father. There was one moment when Will be suddenly overwhelmed by an intense feeling of hatred towards his father, and one night as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom toward the bathroom, darkness arose, says Will. "The path between the two rooms goes past the top of the stairs. As a child, I'd always Will. The path between the two rooms goes past the top of the stairs. As a child, I always told myself that I might at some point avenge my mother. That when I was big enough, when I was strong enough, when I was no longer a coward, I would slay him." Will then goes to admit that at the moment he seriously considered killing his father. "I paused at the top of the steps. I might possibly push him down and easily get away with it." He writes, "I shook my head and wheeled the deal to the bathroom as the decades of suffering, rage, and bitterness coursed and then receded." In his memoir, Will speaks about what brought him peace, knowing that he tried his best to love his father. "There is nothing that you can receive from the material world that will create inner peace of fulfillment," he writes, "that will bring inner peace or fulfillment. In the end, how well people liked you won't matter. You'll only get the smile based on how well you like them." During his recent book tour, Will talked about his conversation with his father before he died of cancer. He said, "My father in 2016 was diagnosed with everything. They gave him 6 weeks to live, getting emotional. It's fascinating when someone realizes they're going to die. If somebody knows they're dying and you recognize, it changes everything within the interaction. The hellos become rich, and therefore the goodbyes become so complete." Will Smith said his dad was deteriorating during the 7-day visits he made in between filming a movie, but they shared much heart-to-heart conversations that allowed get everything out on the table for them. "We tuned in to one another in a way that we never had. My father was given 6 weeks, but he ended up living for 3 months, he said. Will also mentions even with the anger issues, his father taught him some major life lessons. He says, my father tortured me, but he was also the greatest man that I even have ever known. My father was hot-tempered, but he was also at every game, play, and recital. He was an alcoholic, but he was sober at every premiere of every one of my films and was extremely supportive in the early phase of his career. My dad had a little bit of temper, Smith said. I used to be a soft, gentle kid. Like I wasn't a kid you just had to slap, punch, or beat. As a result, growing up in a household where physical violence was tolerated shaped my height. That stung my heart. Will Smith went on to say that his father mistreated his mother, causing her to suffer from the great psychological scar. That experience taught him not to do certain things with his children. Well, he instilled in me such beautiful qualities that are a big part of who I am, he explained. And I watched my father beat up my mother as the yin to every yang. He also left me with the deepest scar on my insides that I've ever had. From the time I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a father. He says in an episode of his wife's talk show Red Table Talk, to be honest, I loved my family, Will said, but I wanted to correct massive critical flaws in my father's parenting. Then he talks about how his father, Willard Carroll Smith Sr, was a great educator and a great presence in everyday life, but that his temper didn't match Will's gentler demeanor. That hurt my soul, Will said. Even though Will Smith credited his father with instilling in him a sense of strictness and the ability to create teachable moments, I learned that everywhere is cool. Whatever you do, you have to do it expertly. Acquiring good marks isn't above cleaning the home. You have to discipline your brain and shine in whatever you do, Will said. Later, he says, my sovereignty as a father is teaching at the moment. I would say teaching and preaching. There's nothing like on-the-job parenting. Fans who read Will's new memoir have now taken to social media to praise Will for his courage to talk about all these painful memories, with many of them saying they can relate to Will's story about halfway through Will Smith's autobiography. And I'm really enjoying it, one fan wrote. Being from West Philly and having a similar father, I can relate to a lot of his childhood and how it shaped his overly optimistic personality. It was almost scary reading how he explained. However, some fans didn't appreciate Will singing his father's praises and said losers don't deserve any compliments. Will Smith giving props to his father for nearly his mother to death, but he came to every one of my games. This is the problem right here. One fan tweeted nothing positive. Any piece that does outside of the sum of their worst counts. So now we want to hear your opinions on this. How do you feel about Will saying his father was a positive figure in his life while at the same time admitting he wanted to kill him for beating his mom? With that, we have come to the end of our video. Do you find out anything new? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. That supports the channel. Speaking of the channel, please also consider subscribing. Do not forget to turn on your notifications so that you are alerted as soon as we post a new video. We will see you soon in our next video.